Spokesperson Ilana Stein. This is day 143 of the October 7th war. First, I will start with an update on our casualties from this war. IDF fatalities since the start of the October 7th massacre have unfortunately risen to 580. That is up 4 since our last briefing on Thursday. The people of Israel grieve with the family of Sergeant Oz Daniel, who was 19 years old. Sergeant Daniel was thought kidnapped on the October 7th, but it is now cleared for publication that he was in fact murdered that Saturday with his body snatched by Hamas into Gaza. He leaves behind his parents and twin brother. Staff Sergeant Ido Eliz Rihen was 20 years old from Jerusalem and died in southern Gaza. Staff Sergeant Neria Belet was 21 from Shvei Shomron, and he was killed in southern Gaza. Major Eyal Shuminov was 24 from Carmiel and was killed in battle in the northern Gaza Strip. The IDF and all Israelis share in this terrible grief of their families. We will continue to accompany them at this unbearable time. Our hearts go out to all the families of those soldiers killed in action, as well as those who were murdered, taken hostage, and wounded. May their memories be a blessing. Now an update regarding our efforts to free our hostages. As we have said many times in the past, we will continue to do everything to release the 134 hostages that are still cruelly held by the Hamas barbaric terror organization and return them to their families. Alongside a determined military effort, Israel is in continuous contact with mediating countries to create a framework to release them. Over the weekend, Israel sent a delegation to Paris, and the Prime Minister has updated the cabinet on the next steps in the negotiations. We very much appreciate the efforts of the United States. I will remind you that 134 hostages still remain in Gaza. Among them, 130 people kidnapped by Hamas during the October 7th terror attack, and forced hostages held captive by Hamas since 2014. Of these 103 hostages, 111 are male and 19 are female. 2 are children under the age of 5. 10 of the hostages are over the age of 75. Just 2 weeks ago, the IDF heroically rescued Luis Hal, age 71, and Fernando Marman, age 61, from Rafah. On Rafah, the IDF yesterday presented the War Cabinet with a plan for evacuating the population from the areas of fighting in the Gaza Strip, together with the upcoming operational plan. We have already destroyed 18 of the 24 terror battalions, but we cannot leave a quarter of Hamas battalions in Rafah. We know that if left intact, Hamas will reconstitute themselves immediately. I want to be clear on this point. It is essential for any future peaceful Middle East that total victory in destroying Hamas is achieved, together with the war aims of releasing the hostages and ensuring that Gaza does not pose a threat. The government has also made clear that once Israel begins its final intense phase of fighting in Rafah to destroy Hamas, the operation will be weeks away from completion, not months. We're now almost 5 months since the October 7th massacre, and we have learned much. The IDF yesterday released its learnings from Hamas media tactics, which I want to share with you in 4 points. These are the tactics. 1, Hamas forces Gazans to stay in active combat zones by blocking their attempts to move out of harm's way. 2, when civilians do finally manage to reach the safer areas to which the IDF guides them, Hamas then moves to those areas, turning humanitarian zones into staging areas for further attacks. 3, Hamas conceals itself from cameras by covering the conflict by embedding itself amongst civilians and camouflaging its terrorists as innocents. 4, by waging war from inside and underneath hospitals, Hamas hopes that international media will provide public sympathy and further shield their military terror activities. Next, I want to give you an update from Kogat. Yesterday, 245 trucks carrying humanitarian aid were inspected and transferred to Gaza. COGAT has made it clear that there's no limit to the amount of humanitarian aid that can enter Gaza for the civilian population. Because UNRWA is intertwined with terror, it needs to be dissolved because of their complicity with Hamas. As such, the IDF has presented the War Cabinet with a plan for providing humanitarian assistance to Gaza in a manner that will prevent the looting that has occurred in the northern strip. The plan was approved. That brings us to the end of today's briefing, and I will be happy to take your questions in the chat.
Thank you. First question from Joel Pollack at Breitbart News. Would you say there are chances of war with Hezbollah at this stage, 50-50 or more likely?
As you probably know, there has been fighting in the north, and this fighting will continue as long as Hezbollah is a threat to Israel. As you know, the Israeli people who are living in the northern parts that are targeted by Hezbollah cannot return home until they can be safe and secure in their homes. That is not the case yet. So as long as we cannot provide safety to our people, unfortunately, we'll have to keep this war in the northern part of Israel.
Thank you. Question from Jody Cohen, World is One News in India. What is the government's reaction to the resignation of Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Stein?
We'll need to get back to you on that. I don't know if there's an official comment yet.
Question from Leo Soroka at the Washington Post. Palestinian Authority Prime Minister offered the resignation of his government on Monday, opening the door for a new technocratic administration under President Abbas. Will Israel cooperate with this government?
One of the first things that we accept this government to do is to say that they are against terror, they are against kidnapping Israelis, they are against torture, they are against rape. If they say all of these things, then we know that there might be a chance for a different future. But if they will keep this silence, then we do not have a choice but to be silent to what they're doing as well. So what we expect is to see very harsh words against Hamas and their actions, and we have been waiting for those harsh words for a long time.
Second question from Leo Soroka at the Washington Post. The Prime Minister's office stated this morning that the War Cabinet was presented with a plan for providing humanitarian assistance to the Gaza Strip in a manner that will prevent looting. What is the plan, and from which crossing the aid is supposed to transfer to northern Gaza?
So the specifics of the plan we cannot go into, but I think what is important is the objective. We know that Hamas has been looting the humanitarian aid that was supposed to be given to the population, to the civilians. This, of course, is aligned with all their tactics, which means keeping themselves safe while they're using their own population, women, children, elderly, as human shields. And we want to prevent that. So we can't go into the specifics, but I think the main thing is that we all want the civilians in Gaza to have a better future, and that can only happen once Hamas is not in charge, as we can see it even in these days, and we saw it in the past as well. They do not care about their people. If they did care about their people, they would, of course, not loot the humanitarian that was given to them. They would, of course, let them be in the tunnels safe where they are safe, and they would actually not even start a war that brings so much harm to everybody involved.
Thank you. Question from Melanie Lidman at AP. Any comment on the situation in Lebanon today? Are there concerns that this could escalate further? Thank you.
We're always concerned about escalation. As I said before, this is not what we want. We would like this war to end, but we have to make sure that our civilians are safe and sound. This is not the case. And if we did not evacuate people from the northern part of Israel, we would have had a lot of casualties by now. So this is why we still need to fight Hezbollah. And of course, we don't want escalation, but we do want safety for our people.
Thank you. Question from Hannah Julian at the Jewish Press. Is there any update on a decision on access to the Temple Mount during Ramadan for Muslims from Israel and Muslims from the Palestinian Authority?
As you know, Israel has respect to all religions, and in most years the Muslim population can go into Jerusalem and worship the way they want to. But this year there's a lot of tension. I know that the Israeli government and also the army and the police are taking into consideration how this can take place so that still the Muslims will be able to go and practice their religion. I don't have the specifics, but once we have them, it will be published.
Question from Henrietta Chakar from Reuters. Today is the deadline for Israel to submit its response to the ICJ. Can you say whether Israel plans to respond and whether it will meet this deadline?
You will have to wait and see.
Second question from Henrietta Chakar from Reuters. The Prime Minister said last night that the military presented a plan for the evacuation of civilians from combat zones ahead of the Rafah offensive. Can you provide more details on this plan? Will civilians be resettled inside Gaza, or are there agreements with neighboring countries to shelter displaced people there?
Yesterday, the Prime Minister was interviewed and he was asked this question, and what he answered was that the people that are in Rafah will be able to move north of Rafah. Exactly the details can't be disclosed at the moment, but we will have places for them that are safe, northern part from Rafah.
Second question from Hannah Julian. Does the government consider a Palestinian Authority technocrat government an acceptable candidate to govern Gaza the day after the war?
We have to see what kind of government will be in place after the war, and then we can discuss this.
Thank you very much. That's the last question.
Thank you very much.